Age can be cruel. What can be at the top of the town one day can be irrelevant the other. Unless you're me and you can control time! But sadly, Shovel Knight 2014 is not me and can't do that. Indie games have always been around. They felt very rare for a long time. Yeah, you would occasionally get a big hit like Meat Boy or Cave Story, but indies weren't super big in the game sphere. Exceptions to the rule of being successful. But it feels like Shovel Knight kind of broke through that. This was a game that was majorly hyped up for a long time. Every YouTuber I watched at the time was talking about the Kickstarter. And then it came out, not only met those expectations, it exceeded it. It felt impossible. This was the biggest Kickstarter ever. The website kind of fell by the wayside nowadays, thanks to a few big misses like Mighty Number 9. But Shovel Knight was a massive success, hitting every stretch goal and delivering them all. And the game was so fun, had great characters, a rocking soundtrack, gameplay was familiar yet fresh, and Troll King. Then it felt just as soon as it exploded in popularity, a few years after it came out, it just completely dropped off. Now, yeah, obviously it fell off. It was no longer relevant. But like, it was. It kept getting updates and spin-offs. It's a living game, but I constantly keep forgetting it existed, so I'm being a huge fan of the game. Now you could say that's because, well, indie game from 2014 can only remain relevant and fresh in everyone's mind for so long. Alright, good point. Counter argument. Yeah, FNAF started in 2014. All my joints just froze. A single strong wind can knock me over. Heck, Undertale is next year. Despite getting constant updates and sequels and merch and Arby's Kids meals, I never hear anyone talk about it. I think the only time post-2017 I heard it brought up in any major way was last year, when a completionist made a review on it, talking majorly about how it inspired him to make a charity, only for that charity to be exposed 2 days later. But hey, I love this game. I loved it all throughout high school. So I feel like, on its 10th anniversary, I should give this big deep dive to it. Join me as we dig deep into Shovel Knight to see if it truly was as good as I remember, and why it fell so hard from public conversation. So I guess I should give some backstory first. Shovel Knight was a creation of Yacht Club Games, an indie studio out of California. The game's Kickstarter launched in 2013, and was immensely successful, hitting all of its stretch goals. The game was heavily inspired by several games from the NES era, like Mega Man, Castlevania, and DuckTales. And then everyone combined and made it the greatest game of all time ever. Shovel Knight is the perfected version of a 2D platformer. It isn't my favorite, look at my career video from last month, but it's still a lot of fun. It only has a handful of levels granted, but every one is endlessly replayable, and every one has tons of unique gimmicks that make it stand out. The story is pretty simple. Shovel and Shield Knight were two adventurer friends who had fun and had campfires and probably did karaoke Tuesday nights, until one day, the two enter a tower, and Shield Knight discovers an amulet, which somehow whisks her away. Shovel Knight does the whole entire depression, until from the tower descends the Enchantress and her Order of No Quarter, all causing havoc. Shovel Knight goes out to stop them and hopes that this will also help him find Shield Knight. It's very simple, but it's a fun story that instantly gets you hooked on Shovel and Shield as characters. The story isn't the focus, it's the gameplay, and little moments. The game is much funnier than you may think, with a lot of quirky interactions with all the NPCs. The best is Horse. I love Horse. From the affably evil yet fun Mr. Hat, to the actually great punter Croaker, that one goth girl, I don't know, she might be important later I guess, the Kratos God of War. Every character really stands out in my mind. The dialogue is really reused and always fresh. They have really varied designs, from characters completely influenced by Link, to much really unique Anthro designs. This is a really fun cast of characters. And that applies to Shovel Knight too. While he only really talks when there's other characters to talk to, you gotta get a sense of the guy. He's honest, kind, helpful, he follows a very strict code of honor. Sorry, chivalry. He can be a little goofy once, but also genuinely see how close he and Shield Knight were, even though they rarely appear on screen together. Shield Knight doesn't do much in this campaign, but what we see from her is really fun. Honestly, I kinda wish she was from the additional characters in this canon release, but hey, I like what they did with her in Spectre Tournament. But that's for later. Black Knight is the other recurring character. He seems like an obligatory generic rival for the game, but he's actually super interesting. I slowly get drip-fed stuff out of it. The armors are all fairly simple, with what feels like a lot of unexplored depth under them. I think they were all made with potential in getting full campaigns, but kind of shot themselves in the foot since, well, the stretch goal is only 3. Polar Knight in particular feels like he deserves more. Aside of the few quirks, there's pretty one-note characters. In this campaign, I'll talk more about the other campaigns later. Shovel Knight also has a ton of additional relics that can assist him. We're here being the Propeller Dagger, which propels you forward and can also deal damage. Also the Fishing Rod, because I can see a trophel. They cost magic to use, but it's easy enough to replenish. They also have a ton of armors, all with unique gimmicks. Favorite here is the Dynamo Armor, which lets you use a strong slash move after 2 successful solo drops. Also, you have Icors, basically just potions that give you healing, repeat from vulnerability, or magnetize treasure to you for a short time. The music? Some of the greatest game music of all time. Every single one is hummable. They all fit their environments perfectly, and none feel too similar to another. It really fits the game's medieval vibe, also being absolutely banging. Let's leave this to levels. We'll go over them all, but I'll do broad strokes. The game is somewhat linear, where you can go places in any order, though there are certainly limits. The map is basically Mario 3, but slightly extended. Every individual level has what's kind of the Nintendo thing, introducing a gimmick in its own safe space, before then introducing it in a more tight space with additional obstacles and enemies. It means you never know what's coming up, but never overwhelms you. Same with the enemies. Those are simple, yet really fun to encounter, with me enjoying fighting all of them. Unlike the games are based on, there's no one, God, I hate this guy. I hope he gets fired from his job and his wife divorces him. With that said, that does lead me to my one giant problem with this game. Something I can never overlook. The names of the enemies. Listen, they put all their creativity and effort into making the game that the enemies' names are just... Okay, let's look through these. Birder. Bird or what? Yeah, it looks like a bird. Surprise. That's a catfish, not a serpent. Hermitack. What's the pun? That's not a pun, that's just two words together. Hover meanie. Why is he a meanie? Why are the other guys not meanies? Is this guy even ruder than all the other enemies? Then there's all the ones that are just what the thing is. I'm going to destroy Yacht Club. Only the ending is super cute, and the final boss is a lot of fun, and the boss rush is super great, and I love the Where Are They Now montage. That's how the other tricks now. So thanks to the stretch goals, Shovel Knight got tons of additional DLC and extra modes. The biggest one is definitely the new campaigns, which the backers got to vote for 3 characters to become playable, all with new stories and levels. The 3 we got were Plague Knight, Spectre Knight, and Keep Knight. Coincidentally, maybe, the 3 bosses you'll normally fight first. I mean, I get why these are chosen. This was the early internet, so obviously the 2 darkest characters have their fans, and I do really just think King Knight is just because he's the first boss. Not bad picks at all, but I am curious on a few others. Story-wise, I think Polar would be really cool, and Enchantress is also up for grabs, with a fairly cool moveset about hurting herself or damage her foes. But I am content with these, especially Spectre, and especially Plague. Like, really especially Plague. He got by far my favorite campaign of the 4. His floaty with moveset is tricky, yet extremely satisfying when you master it, with his bombs having a ton of additional unique abilities. These are basically his relics, called Arcana, and also have a ton of brand new fun abilities. Again, favorite here is Leech Life, which heals you for all the damage you cause to enemies. You get these by trading them with Chester for the relics, which is really fun and cool world building. You also have cloaks to save armor, same purpose though. Though for every upgrade they have, they also come with a drawback. That's why the best one is Dandy Duds. It does nothing but make you look fabulous! Also, they're mostly a slight reservation of the original game. Same with levels, just changing it slightly for Plague Knight's moveset. With that said, the boss of the Exploratorium is now Shovel Knight. He's a lot of fun. His attacks are a lot more random now, where it feels like you're playing against an actual person, not a random boss. Story-wise, this is basically the Phineas and Ferb Star Wars of Shovel Knight. A very normal sentence. It's a midquel, showing what Plague Knight is doing during the events of Shovel of Hope. It also greatly expands Plague Knight's character, turning him from this creepy, foreboding figure to a doofus. I love it so much. Plague Knight is such a dork here. He's shy around girls, he makes dorky little jokes, he likes dancing. I love this guy so much. Mona also gets more focused, as she's Plague Knight's partner in crime. She's also a lot of fun, and their chemistry with Plague is just really adorable. Honestly, while there's a notable horror lean at points, the tone is overall super lighthearted. From Plague Knight tricking Trouble King to thinking he's a good guy, to the whole thing with the horse guy, the fact that you can just casually kill your minions, and Baz becoming a henchman of yours. Oh, I forgot to mention Baz. He's a mini-boss in the original, but it's also super interesting because he was originally a scrap character from, of all things, Street Fighter 2, who became a running gag on the Super Best Friends YouTube channel, who then attempted to put him in any game they backed on Kickstarter as running gag, including Dive Kick, the canceled Colossal Kaiju Combat, Slipstream, Skullgirls, and of course, Shovel Knight. That's not the only YouTuber cameo. You're after jump scare. Yeah, I love Plague of Shadows. The story is super cute, the bosses have enough twists to be unique while still recognizable. It's really fun. It's great. Spectre Torment, on the other hand, leans much more to darker aspects. Now that it's lighter moments, of course. I love his freaking skeleton. But it really dives deeper into how the Order was formed, and what happened to Spectre to turn him into the Grim Reaper of Armor Man. It also dives deep more into Shield Knight and explains how she became the Enchantress. Even more so in Plague of Shadows, this massively changes up the levels and bosses, making it a really fun time. Alongside a new gimmick of rail grinding, which is what it sounds like. Like usual, we have cloaks. My favorite is Railment of Risk, which strengthens you if you destroy checkpoints. Curios are replacements for relics this time. My favorite here is Judgment Rush, which flies through walls to attack an enemy. Spectre Torment is a lot of fun. It's a much darker take on the formula, which still keeps the quirky fun of the original. It's a lot of fun. The final one was King of Cards. This is when I fully stopped hearing people talk about this game. Sad, because I enjoyed King of Cards. Probably my least favorite campaign, but still fun. This is about King Knight attempting to become a true king by amassing an army of fancy supporters, and by winning the Joustus card game. For the first one, the stages are a lot more segmented, being much shorter and mostly about platforming, with the bosses all having their own levels. King Knight's moveset is based on his shoulder charge and his spin move, and is in my opinion the hardest to master moveset, but still a lot of fun. The stages are all built around this mechanic. making it easily the most changed levels overall. The bosses are also super changed up, especially since most of them are now walk-around characters instead of being at the end of levels. They do go as 3 brand new bosses though, the Kings. All really fun fights. The idea of fighting Tropical King alone sold me on this. And King Birder? Bro, you were too late. If you were base game, you'd be killing it as Tamer Sexy Man. The ending though, major spoilers, but throughout this entire game, I was confused. Why is everyone acting differently than how they were in the first game? It's just everyone's so nice and funny and all basically worshipping King Knight. Then the ending happened and King betrayed everyone just for power. My jaw was completely dropped, bro. It makes so much sense, but God, such a backstab, ending on a shockingly dark note for what seemed like the most lighthearted campaign. And I'm there for it. What I'm not there for is Joustus. I really don't like this card game. It feels like it's mostly down to luck, I feel. It's just not fun. Not game ruining, because I still like the platform segments. But yeah, King Knight was great to burn out those cards. Anyways, Horse Boss Fight. This is the best campaign. Those are of course the big draws of the bonus modes and stretch goals. That is very much not where it ends. Body Swap mode is one of the big ones. It allows you to customize the gender and pronoun to every major character in Shovel of Hope, but not the other 3. It's a nice little bit of inclusivity, and some of the redesigns are really nice looking. My favorite is Mole Knights, and of course Plague Knights, which cast on our weakness. There isn't much to it though. I do kind of question one thing about it though, and bringing integration to this mode. Heck, this whole game. These old NES games, how most female characters in them are just damsel in distress who do nothing. They fix this by making a Shield Knight an adventurer who actually does stuff, rather than a princess who gets kidnapped. She then immediately gets kidnapped in the first cutscene. Great job. Something that was always part of the package was the cheat codes. God, I miss cheat codes in games. It feels like this game is one of the last games really used these. Cheats range from the standard things of invincibility and unlocking items and levels to actually important things, like changing a bunch of words, including both shovel and knight, into butt. Meaning Butt must rescue Shield Butt from the order, consisting of King Butt, Plague Butt, Spectre Butt, Mole Butt, Treasure Butt, Propeller Butt, Tinker Butt, and Polar Butt. This is the greatest game ever made. The only thing better is the Japanese version, which instead of butt replaces every word with, I am not joking, squid. It was made for me. The other important cheats are the Jar Jar code, which replaces the words me and you with the Yusa and Misa. Again, best game. The Iron Man Challenge code makes you play with a very restricted set of items and health, and the code that makes you invincible, giant, super fast, can bounce on land, and change color every time you jump. I XP ran this game with this mode, and honestly, that's the optimal way to play it. Co-op mode. I don't have friends. Challenge mode is exactly what it sounds like. Play through challenges like using an item in a specific way, or beat a boss with limited health. Definitely fun and challenging time wasters. New Game Plus. It's New Game Plus. What do you want from me? The game also has achievements for all of its campaigns, including beating the game without falling into a pit, and another without losing a life. I haven't 100%ed this game. The 3 console releases all have their own exclusive content. I'm a Nintendo drone, so I never played the PlayStation exclusive Kratos boss, or Microsoft exclusive Battletoads boss. But who needs new fun bosses that give you really cool upgrades when you have Street Pass Arena? Where you fight ghosts to player. And by fight, I mean you collect money and hope you collect more than the random ghosts you stumble across. By hope you collect more than the random ghosts you stumble across, I mean just spam Flame Rod and hope your opponent jumps into it. Nintendo fans almost discriminate against Group on Earth. We also got Custom Knight though, a mode unlocked via Amiibo, where you can customize Shovel Knight, giving him new moves, effects, or a new look. I gave him a ghost to follow him, and that was enough for me. That's $13 ever spent. Oh yeah, the Amiibo. These were the first Amiibo made with someone other than Nintendo, though obviously they're still officially licensed. You can tell they're not made by Nintendo, as comparing them to Amiibo releases around the time, they're clearly not as high quality, looking a lot cheaper, though they feel like any other Amiibo. I have 4 of the 5, the one I'm missing being the Gold Shovel Knight, but I'm content with the main 4. When I was high quality, these are 4 really nice looking figures. Either Spectre and King are too big for my shelf. I guess I can kind of fit them in there, like I can with Kaja, Richter, and Pit. Not like Big Man Sephiroth and Guardian though, those oversized fricks. That leads us to the final mode, Shovel Knight Showdown, a kind of fighting game using Shovel Knight's mechanics. On one hand, this is really cool. You can play so many beloved Shovel Knight characters, like Gold Armor and Dark Rise. Every character has a really weird moveset, so you're bound to find one that you like. Personally, I'm partial to Polar Knight's bulk and spammable Snowball, and the really fun combos of Mind Gamers of Mona. Also, Mona's new look slays. Problem is that there's really not much to do. Story mode is fun for one run, but it's also fairly tedious. I like playing the levels where it's a fight, but the gem collecting levels, which is like 80% of it, isn't as fun. They're just kind of boring, honestly. Plus they all fight the exact same boss every run. I like the little character interactions you get from parts, but they're much smaller crumbs than what you might want for the big send-off to this game. Maybe that's why this whole game kind of fell to the wayside. That, or because they're too much of a coward to make Tropical King playable. So while Shovel Knight Treasure Trove has a ton to it, this franchise is not some one-trick pony. And honestly, did you see all the things he did to Plague of Shadows? Shovel Knight is actually a full franchise. has produced 2 spin-offs, Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon and Shovel Knight Big. I haven't played either of these games. Listen, I said at the top before Shovel Knight existed, I meant it. Looking at these, Dig feels like a sequel to the original, like the SNES version of the NES game the original tried to be. It actually looks really fun, though I am slightly bummed that the order doesn't return. Enchantress, Shovel Knight, and some more minor characters like Chester do, but not them. They are in Pocket Dungeon though, a puzzle and roguelike game. Definitely different from the original, but it seems fun. Both of these got good reviews, but yeah, they got no attention. And it's not a shock, I never really felt the urge to play either. Well, this video does make me want to. What I have played though is a board game, which yes, does exist. Dungeon Duels. It's a little complicated to explain, but basically it's a game that tries to mimic the side-scrolling nature of the game by having panels move after every turn, all leading to a boss fight. Just like the game, you drop loot when you die, and they can be collected by your rivals, and this game is up to 4 players. It's a really fun time with friends. I've played it twice. Once with 3 other people, and the other was just 1. It was fun. The main game has all the order and 4 Shovel Knights playable, all with their own unique abilities and stats, but some additional bonus characters. The only one my friend had was Mona, and although I played as Plague Knight because duh, I kept Mona out because you cannot separate them. One of my friends actually noticed my kind of obsession with this figure, and for Christmas, he actually gave me the Mona figure, even though I don't have a game itself. But I really love it. Thank you, Julian. She can now spend time with her size-swap boyfriend. I love her with a little scrumpy. Shovel Knight made a name for himself outside of the series, though. I know it was a throwaway joke at the start, but yes, he did have an Arby's tie-in for their kids' meals. But I generally did not know Arby's had kids' meals until his promotion. Because, well, who the frick eats at Arby's? Toys are 7 disc launchers, all come with codes that you can put into the game for things like Plague Knight having an Arby's hat, or Shovel Knight catching a burger in his dreams instead of Shield Knight, though obviously you can just look up the codes without the toys. Also, Plague Knight is called Dr. Knight. I assume because the food company would rather not have play associated with a restaurant, even if that's very accurate for Arby's. With that said, it did give us the single best piece of stock art ever, so it balances out. Arby's isn't the only Carlos Shovel Knight had. I also call that with every other video game. For a time, Shovel Knight was the indie equivalent to Ryu, where he was just mandated to appear in every single video game. Runbow, Blaster Master Zero, Blade Strangers, Indie Pogo, Runner 3, Yooka-Laylee, Mutant Mud, Rival Ether, also Dungeons & Diamonds, Fall Guys, even Smash Ultimate. I feel like for a solid 4 or so years, if there was a video game out, they will just include Shovel Knight. This isn't even all of them. Some of these aren't even crossover heavy. They'll just be playing normally, then suddenly Shovel Knight jump scare. There's a few more notable ones, like Dino Run X, where he's a Velociraptor for some reason, or Road to Redemption, where it looks like this. More notably, there's Brawlhalla, where the main 4 knights, plus Black Knight and Enchantress, are skins in the games. This game finally let me pit King Knight against Randy Savage, Jake the Dog, and Tai Lung, and I am eternally grateful. Also notable is Creepy Castle and the upcoming Puzzle Zapot, which only games with playable characters that aren't only Shovel Knight, being Plague Knight and Tinker Knight respectively. As fun as these all are, I think it's too much all at once. Again, it basically became a running gag that if you had a game, Shovel Knight will come. It was massive overexposure. It actually feels this way because it's an indie game, which wasn't really seen as anything special back then. Now obviously there were successful indie games before Shovel Knight, Ed McMillan's Meat Boy and Binding of Isaac, Playdead's Limbo, Numbered Nun's Braid, The Behemoth's Castle Crashers, Pixel's Cave Story, and some narcissistic dickhead's Fez, for example, were all pretty popular games, all released years before Shovel Knight. Heck, Cave Story was a full decade prior. Oh, and some game of bricks or something, I don't know. It just feels like Shovel Knight really broke through and was the first game to not be seen as just an indie game. Again, everyone was talking about this game. It topped every single Game of the Year video I saw. 2D sprite animated indie games truly didn't fit the general mold of games people liked back then. This is a time where people loved more realistic, grounded, gritty games that were really trying to be more cinematic, like Borderlands and Last of Us. But this silly little platformer with an applefish comes along, but it also has a really nice story in addition to really fun gameplay. It felt like what really got people to pay attention to indie games, which kind of caused the really popular notion of indie games being what really carries the gaming industry and is what people look forward to each year. And yeah, comparing it to Undertale and FNAF is unfair. Those are some of the biggest games of all time. But even compared to games of its caliber, it still feels like I don't hear anything about Shovel Knight anymore. I never see any fan art or memes about it. Heck, I saw no one talking about King of Cards, Showdown, or the sequels. Again, things will always die down in popularity, but the complete drop in popularity, 0 to 100 near immediately, is just strange. Why did it happen? Honestly, exposure might be it. Again, look back at those cameos, one after another, for a solid 4 years. I'm sure after that, the series just became white noise, and no one ended up caring about it anymore. Plus, yes, I think this is what caused so many other indie games to get more attention as they came out. And while that's great, it means Shovel Knight itself has so much more competition for attention. It's basically impossible to compete with Undertale and FNAF. Even smaller games compared to those juggernauts, like Celeste or Hat in Time, I still see fan art and memes quite frequently. FNAF and Undertale both came out at the exact perfect time for both. FNAF came out when YouTube was being fully taken seriously as a marketing tool, and Undertale was at the turn where people wanted more experimental and wacky, yet still deep experiences. Celeste and Hat in Time, and it's too early to call, but I'm gonna throw a Pizza Tower, are big, yes. It never went to Shovel Knight's level, staying just under mainstream, it's still really popular, letting them not being considered overplayed. They never got an Arby's tie-in, everything is Arby's fault. Also, basically no one who hasn't played the game knows anything about Shovel Knight, besides Shovel Knight himself, the shovel drop move, and maybe the first level in its theme. Those other games have songs, levels, and characters besides the main that's as iconic, if not more so, than just the basic things about it. Like, in hindsight, focusing all the marketing on Shovel Knight himself might have been a hindrance, since the ensemble characters are all super fun, and all the other games mentioned all have characters as iconic, if not more so, than their MC, like Foxy and Springtrap, Sands of Papyrus, Snatcher, Battlein, and The Noise. Plague or Shovel Knight could have easily been as big as Shovel if they were given more attention. I haven't seen a single fan theory for this game. We're considering we live in a time indie games are basically made to be theorized on. It's nuts. Even if it lost its popularity, I don't really think that matters. Yeah, I'm sure people discuss this game nowadays, but that doesn't make it any less amazing. It's still a really fun game, super interesting gameplay mechanics, a beautiful and charming art style that's just classic enough to seem accurate, while still being extremely detailed and full of life and character. Shockingly gripping stories for such simplistic plots, a ton of additional content that are all almost full games in their own right, and a cast of characters that are all super memorable and lovable. Even without tons of memes and fan art a decade later, Shovel Knight will always hold a special place in my heart. I'll always dig it. Ah!
Oh, ho, 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 yo, oh, yo, ho, yo, 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 yo.